Okay, we're tabled down, so to speak. I just have all the parts ready that I need. I did some pre-assembly to make it a little easier. And then things that I didn't put on, we don't necessarily need right now. What I have is my jump packs, the intakes, and the main torso. That's all I'm working on right now. I didn't do a lot of the mold line trimming yet, because I'll do that later as I need it. But I like to do things individually, so that way if there is anything I need to trim and cut, I don't have to work around a piece that I don't want to mess up. So what we do first, we'll work on this guy and get these guys prepped and glued together. And what I like to do on these to make them glue together, you could technically put them like that. They go together real well, except for if you look at that, you've got the little nodules here, the little lumps. Keep it from being flush. So what I like to do is I have this X-Acto blade. It's kind of like a chisel. It's flat on one side, angled on the other. So I just sit there and I come in. This is really hard to do around the camera, by the way. I just work it underneath until it comes off. You know, and I trim all these off. Just these three. Those are the only three you have to do. So I'm gonna stop the video. I'm gonna do that, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Oh, and there's that little notch right there that sticks up right here. Trim that off too. So these are all done. So what you have is I cut off those little knobs, and then that one little piece right there. So this is flat and smooth. And if you'll notice, this is level with this. You have these 3 points here. And so what I do with my glue is I have testers, just testers, model cement. I put it here, here, here. A nice surface for it to grab hold of. And then I just press them together. If any of y'all have a model that you've done so many of that you really don't use the instruction booklet on, I swear the Riptide is one I've done. I've only done 2 so far, but it's probably one of my favorite models that GW has. And it's so easy to put together, even with the conversions I do. Well, granted, I don't do like mega conversions on them, but what I do is kind of use the table to make sure certain areas line up flush, so that way everything's straight and it looks like it was technically built by the earth cast as one piece. So some of you who are real sticklers might look at that gap in there and want to fill that in. You can. I mean, nothing wrong with getting a piece of plastic card. I think I even have some that's the same size as that, and cut it down, or the same thickness as that. Cut it down and slide it in there. I didn't do it on this one either, but I just don't see the need in it. I like having them look semi-separate. But then there you go. You now have the single jetpack or jump pack. And what's going to happen is on this guy, it is going to go here. So the next step I'm going to do is we have to cut this off. So, and to do that, I have this. My favorite little cutting tool in my arsenal. It is a wonderful hobby device. It is called the micro saw. It is so awesome. It's slightly flexible. You don't want to bend it too much, but sometimes when I'm working around curves, I'll give it a little bit of a tilt, and it helps me make that curve. Plus, it's really nice and sharp. You can kind of score it at first, like you come to where you want to cut it off at, which I usually do right about in here, right above this line. and you can score it. And that kind of helps you get a good start on it. And you just work it like a saw. You just work in there and cut it out. Because it does have that little bit of flex, try to keep it steady, because sometimes it will start to flex up and you'll end up not having it flush across. But it's an easy fix, you know, especially with this. I'll come back in and hit it and smooth it out to where everything's nice and flat. So I'm going to pause the video again. I'm going to get this cut and show you what it looks like. Alright, so that step is done. Just cut that off. That little flap there. Smoothed it out the best that I could. I don't have any sandpaper. And I'd sand it nice and smooth. But pretty much what you get is a flat area there, and then this will butt up in there like that. And you can adjust the angle and figure out how you like it the best. Now there's a big gap in there. Now that one piece, where did it go? There it is. This piece, the one that normally goes in there, kind of helps fill that area out better. And actually, the jump pack kind of butts up against it. So then that's what I would do there. Now, a lot of this you won't see because of the intakes. They hide it, a lot of that stuff in there. You will still have this shaved down area up here. What I did on this one was I took a broadside shoulder piece and just kind of glued it in there. Pay no attention to the paint job. This is only one coat in. I like doing a real sloppy first coat, and then I come back and I smooth everything all out. So what we'll do is we'll put that one little piece in, glue it in where it's supposed to be. That'll give us that little brace. And then what I'd probably come back and do too, shave off those notches so you have a more flush surface for that to meet up against. So that'll touch it flat a little easier. Give me 1 second, I'll finish that up. So yeah, just trim that off now. So before I glue that pack on, what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and get these intakes ready. And that is so simple. So here's your normal piece for your intakes. They would go on, which side is this? Okay, stop. So they would go on like this. These pieces, this is from the Landspeeder Typhoon, I believe. And it's the little missile packs that come with it. And what they do is they pretty much will replace those intakes. And they're hollow on the back, so literally they go on there perfect. So I just add glue around the edges and a little bit. I don't think that touches, maybe. Yeah, it does touch just a little bit. Yeah. So I'll add glue on there, and then I'll put them on there, and then I'll work to get it as straight as possible. Even though the intakes, technically, they're kind of angled, but I like these being straight. So, let's do that. So then you have something like that. And then just adjust it to your liking to make it smooth. You can do the same thing by setting it down and using the table to kind of help you a little bit. But just know that these stick out just a bit from the edges. So I would just finagle it in there until you get it just right. See? And then you have your rocket pod intake. We'll go ahead and hop back to do the other one. And I'll show you. Alright, so they're both done. So you have the two intakes. Good to go. And what I like doing is I like getting the intakes on first before I glue the jump pack on, because it kind of gives it a little brace in there. I'm just going to add glue to both sides. Get them in there. Get them ready to go. One and two. Just give them a good squeeze. Make sure they're on there good. That's what the front of your riptide looks like. And then that kind of gives you an idea of this too. It kind of gives you a brace in there. Like I said, I've come up with something to kind of hide this rough spot because it's going to be seen. So. Alright, so before I glue that down, I'm thinking heads. I have extra riptide heads. I was initially going to do this with the extra ghost keel head. I saw somebody do it before. I liked the way it looked. But at the same time that I'm looking at it, I kind of don't want to do this. And then I got to looking too. You know, you look at the riptide heads and most of the crisis suit heads, they're the same size. So like this guy's, that's pretty much a crisis suit head. It's on the riptide. And I wanted to do something, so this is going to be Ben, and I'm going to do it more upright standing. I want to make him look as massive as possible. The Storm Surge comes with 3 heads. And I have the one that I built already, and then I have one that I'm going to be building. So what I'm thinking is, since I have 2 extra heads, I might use those on here. So one of those on here. So what I'm thinking is, here's this one. That is, I think it's even the same shape as another riptide head. So I might use that one. Or then I have this one. The other thing too is whichever head I use, I have to make sure putting this on, they don't hit. So I think, let's see, what does that other one look like with this? I think for this I will use the other one, because that just scrapes. The other one was short enough it didn't hit at all. So yeah, I like that. So this is the head I'm going to use. I'm going to use this extra Storm Surge head. Find an antenna to put on there. So yeah, let me get this glued down, and then I'll show you the finished, well, the more or less finished conversion. I did cut a notch out here too. It already has a small notch there, but I was looking at it and I thought it would be cool because this is going to be his gun arm. I'm going to do it opposite. I noticed both my riptides have their right arm is their weapon arm, and then their left arm is their shield arm. On this one I want to do it different. You know, I like giving each one of them their own little special deal. So yeah, so we're gonna glue this on there, this targeter. I'm gonna trim down the bottom of it a little bit so it sits more flush in there. Might even cut a little hole in there so it tucks down in there and it doesn't move. Anything to make it more secure. But let's get that glued on, I'll show you.